I pulled into Willow Creek last April, my old pickup rattling after months on the road, craving nothing more than the hum of my backyard creek, the creak of my porch swing, and a cold beer in my own damn hand. I'd been in Georgia, nursing my sister through chemo, and all I wanted was Hamimi's slice of quiet in this sleepy little subdivision. But the second I stepped out, something felt off, like the air itself was holding its breath, tight and uneasy. The neighborhood was dead, silent, no kids tearing down the street on scooters, no sprinklers spitting life into lawns, just this eerie stillness, like Willow Creek had been drained of its pulse. I glanced around, and the yards were a mess, grass yellowing like it hadn't seen water in weeks, wilting flowers hanging their heads in defeat. My place, though, still green, thanks to my buddy Mike, who'd been watering it while I was gone. But even his hose looked bone dry, abandoned by the mailbox like a forgotten toy. I headed inside, dropped my bag, and turned on the kitchen tap, thank God. It still worked, cold and clear from my private well. But something gnawed at me, a prickling sense that trouble was brewing. Out back, I spotted it. A cheap plastic sign zip-tied to my fence, screaming in bold letters, "All exterior water use suspended per HOA emergency order. Non-compliance fines up to $200 per day." Signed at the bottom, in Sharpie, was Lydia Harper, HOA president. Lydia. Of course it was Lydia. She lived 6 houses down, always strutting around in those pristine white sneakers, the kind of woman who'd report your dog for sneezing too loud. Before I left for Georgia, she was just a nosy neighbor with a clipboard, but now she'd apparently crowned herself queen of Willow Creek while I was gone. I caught up with Mike later that evening, grabbing my mail. He looked worn thin, like he'd aged a decade in 6 months. "Lydia's running the show now," he muttered, glancing over his shoulder like she might pop out of the bushes. "Shut off the community water 2 weeks ago, so the main line's busted. No one's got a drop unless they're hauling it from town." I frowned. "How's she pulling that off?" Mike leaned in, voice low. "No one's pushing back, man. She's got her little posse HOA badges. The work's slapping fines on anyone who complains." He paused, eyeing my yard. "Keep that well of yours quiet. It's off her radar, but if she finds out," I nodded, already feeling the gears turning in my head. That well, dubbed by my grandpa back when this was just farmland, was my ace in the whole nobody's business but mine. Next morning, I was up before dawn, old habits from my days as a fire captain kicking in. I sipped black coffee, staring out at the ghost town Willow Creek had Becamino dogs, no joggers, just dust and defeat. Mike rolled up at 8 sharp with a couple of empty jugs in his truck bed, his kid Sophie bouncing in the front seat, her eyes big with hope. I led them to the well, hidden behind my shed under a tangle of jasmine vines. I flipped the pump on, and water flowed, clean and steady. Mike just stared, like he was seeing a miracle. "Jake, this could save us," he whispered. "Not the whole street," I said, "but enough to keep folks sane." By noon, word had spread quietly. No texts, no posts. Neighbors trickled in, jugs in hand, faces tight with gratitude and fear. I told them the same thing. Take what you need, but don't advertise it. I wasn't looking for a fight, not yet. But Lydia, she had a nose for trouble. That afternoon, an email blasted out from the HOA, all caps, screaming about a mandatory water crisis briefing at the clubhouse. It was full of buzzwords: infrastructure failure, community sacrifice, unauthorized water use will be penalized. I forwarded it to my old friend Tom, a retired city planner who owed me one from way back. His reply was quick. "She's full of it. HOAs can't touch water rights without city approval. Send me everything you've got." I knew then this was bigger than a power trip. It was a scam. The clubhouse meeting was a circus. Lydia stood up front in a crisp blazer, waving a laser pointer at a blurry photo of some rusty pipe, claiming it was proof the system was collapsing. We're all making sacrifices, she said, her smile sharp as a blade. I couldn't hold back. I stood up, voice steady. Lydia, your covenant code doesn't trump my well. Its grandfather predates this whole HOA by 50 years. Her eyes narrowed, but I kept going. And where's the city permit for this shutoff? Because I checked there isn't one. The room buzzed, neighbors shifting in their seats, whispers sparking like kindling. Lydia tried to shut me down, but I'd lit a match, and she knew it. That night, Mike texted me a photo that made my blood boil. Lydia's front yard, lush and green, her fancy fountain bubbling away while the rest of us were bone dry. She wasn't sacrificing a damn thing, she was stealing. I sent it to Tom, who called me right away. Jake, she's rerouting community water to her place. That's not just unethical, it's illegal. I'm getting an inspector out there. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. This wasn't just about water anymore. It was about control, and Lydia was about to learn I don't bow to bullies. Things escalated fast. Notices started piling up on my fence sees water distribution. HOA violation, fines pending. I bagged everyone, labeled them, built a file thicker than a phone book. I set up cameras around my property, catching Lydia's enforcement team sniffing around my pipes like rats. One night, I caught two of them trying to cut my line with bolt cutters. I stepped out, phone recording, voice calm but cold. You're trespassing, boys, and that's a registered utility you're messing with. Want to explain that to the sheriff. They scattered like roaches, muttering about orders from Lydia. I sent the footage to Tom, who was already building a case with the city. By the time the city inspector, a no-nonsense guy named Carl, showed up, half the neighborhood was watching from their porches. I walked him through my setup well, pump, filters, all legal and clean as a whistle. Then I showed him the photos of Lydia's fountain, the timestamps proving she was siphoning water while we went thirsty. Carl's jaw tightened. This isn't a shutoff, he said. It's theft. He filed a report on the spot, citing utility fraud and endangerment of public welfare. I could feel the tide turning, but I knew Lydia wouldn't go down easy. The city hearing was set for a Friday, and Willow Creek was buzzing like a beehive. Neighbors started talking again, sharing stories of Lydia's petty fines, curtains too bright, mailboxes too old, flower beds too wild. I brought a binder stuffed with evidence, notices, videos, neighbor letters spilling their frustrations. The hearing room was packed, tense, like we were all waiting for a storm to break. Lydia sat up front, cool as ice in her white blazer, spinning lies about emergency measures and community safety. But when Carl presented the photos of her fountain, the room went dead quiet. I took the stand, looked her in the eye, and laid it out. Lydia turned this neighborhood into a prison, weaponizing water to control us. My well's legal, my water's clean, and I'm not letting her bully us into submission. The crowd stirred, a ripple of courage spreading. When the commissioner slammed the gavel, it felt like a gunshot. The Willow Creek HOA is suspended, effective immediately. Lydia Harper is removed as president. All recent fines are void. Lydia walked out without a word, her face pale, her empire crumbling. Outside, neighbors hugged, laughed, even cried. Mike grabbed my shoulder. You did it, Jake. I shook my head. We did it. Lydia sold her house a month later, slinking off to some gated community where she could probably boss around retirees to her heart's content. Our new HOA president, Sarah, a former librarian with a knack for listening, turned things around. We held open meetings in the park, scrapped the stupid rules, and started a fund to help folks fix their yards. Kids are back on bikes, sprinklers hissed again, and laughter filled the air like music. One day, I found a note in my mailbox, handwritten, no stamp. Jake, I lost sight of what community means. I'm sorry. Lydia. I tucked it away, not because I needed it, but because it proved even she couldn't ignore what we'd built. Willow Creek's different now, alive in a way I hadn't realized we'd lost. I still check the well every morning, not because I have to, but because it reminds me what freedom feels like. The other day, Sophie, Mike's kid, left a drawing taped to my Gadius stick figure me, handing out water under a rainbow, with thank you scrawled in crayon. I don't cry easy, but that one hit me hard. We didn't just win a fight. We took back our home. But here's the thing: Lydia's gone. But someone else could step in her shoes if we're not watching. Power's a sneaky thing, and it only holds if we let it. So what do you think? Have you ever had to stand up to someone like Lydia? Drop a comment. Tell me your story. I am all ears.